All right, and joining us in studio now is Brigadier General retired Ahmed Mohamed, a military man. Thank you so much for making time. So many people are wondering, what does exactly lying in state mean? Because they thought the body would not be moved from Parliament.
Yes, the lying in state actually builds on from the state funeral, where alongside that, normally it's a requirement that, of course, first the fact that the state funeral is done for a sovereign or a king, and in this case for us, the president. And the honor is given, therefore, for this body to lie in state at a place of choice as given by government. In this case, it is Parliament. So for the next 3 days, the body will lie in state, mainly for the purpose of honors, last respects, people coming in to pay the last respects. That's the key thing that we're doing it for.
It's such an intricate process, and so will the protocol remain the same for tomorrow and the days that follow?
In fact, what we saw today is standard, and therefore that will remain for the remaining 2 days. We see the same thing all through.
All right. And so what is the difference then between a 21-gun salute and a 19-gun salute?
Basically, I'll say it's just one, the numbers and the honors. 21-gun salute is reserved mainly for sitting presidents who pass away while in office, and then for others, like in this case today, is between 13 and 19, and they'll decide which one to go for. In this case, they went for the 19. Yes, so it's just them to decide between them and the family what to go for.
And can civilians also be accorded the same honor, or is that just solely for dignitaries, military men and women?
Now, again, that is tied into the state funeral. Normally, in this case, the firing of guns is reserved for, again, the sovereign and head of state. However, remember also that the same guns may be fired in country, for instance, in the event of a visiting president. It's actually an honor for presidents and sovereigns.
So the president cannot decide that since someone has served the nation properly and is not a military man, they deserve a 21-gun salute, an ordinary civilian?
Well, that will be unique, but of course within the confines of the Constitution, a head of state can actually do so, should he find it fit at that level. Yes.
And so we always hear explosions during the gun salute. Are they live ammunition? Somebody asked me that on the streets and I didn't have an answer.
Well, the honor in terms of the gun salute is actually the sound that we hear coming from the guns, which we said 19-gun salute fired at intervals of 5 seconds. This is actually gunpowder and has no effect at all in terms of damage and causing injury. Yes.
And of course, we saw the change of guard throughout the course of the day. How does that work and how often is it done?
Again, this is much more of standard practice because, as you realize, the soldiers take posts for the whole day. It's just fair that after some interval, they take a break. The interval will be decided as found fit. For instance, today we saw there's an element of 2 hours, 1 hour, as found appropriate. There's no fixed standard. There must be these timings.
Is that part of the security procedure, that there's no fixed standard of who will be where at what point?
In terms of the guard, they know where to take their position. These are all well rehearsed in the past. It's not by chance. So as they come in or go out, they know where to come in and when to go out and where to go. That's all rehearsed and well laid out. Because in the military, we don't take chances. That is all done well out in advance.
Considering this is the first time in 40 years we are witnessing such a display of military prowess, how important, how significant is it that a new generation is seeing this, such an honor for a late president?
Yes, I will say it goes with the honor that is given to the president as head of state. And in our case, indeed, he was our commander-in-chief. And therefore, a fitting farewell is just right. And I have no issues with the white generation seeing what is going on. Again, demanding that heads of state deserve that status of respect. In any case, they've gone through a lot, having to lead countries, to lead states. That honor is befitting.
Brigadier, as we wind up, you mentioned that the process is going to be the same over the next 4 days. Isn't that in itself a security risk? Because then it's quite predictable.
Well, for such, it's an honor for this event to take place as is going on now. And there's some instances where you can't really put off such shows, where you have such a requirement for such a high status of honor. It will go on. The only issue that will happen here is that there will be enhanced security all round that there'll be no issues of insecurity at any point. You can be assured there'll be layers from the perimeter all the way up to where the body lies in state. And for you to penetrate that one, will be too tough. Yes.
Right, and earlier on we saw the military saying that this process was supposed to start at 8, it started at 7. Was that deliberate?
Ahead of schedule.
Now, I've mentioned this at some point somewhere else, that this is a very unique operation, one that needs to be handled very carefully and with precision. And therefore, because of so many requirements across, you will find that there will be adjustments which are necessary as you go along. Those will happen, and we can't really do without them. We'll expect them to happen as they go along. Now, you mentioned about 4 days. It is 3 days.
Yeah.
In fact, now 2 days remaining for the body to lie in state. And then on the third day is we go to Nyayo Stadium, and finally the resting place on Wednesday in Kabarak.
Okay. Is that where the military now stop after the body has been taken to Kabarak?
No.
Or do they oversee the entire thing?
The military start from the day we heard of this sad news. And they end on the day that Mzee is finally put to rest totally. That's when we'll close up our tents and head back to the barracks. Indeed, giving him a befitting funeral that he deserves.
All right. Before we let you go, there's another story. I heard Sam Gituku saying that the swords will now be turned in reverse.
Now, that is part of the honors again that we do. And then you pick on from the last day. On the last day, we have 2 events which are very important. One is the last post, where we will play the bugle of the trumpet in honor of the president. Then after that, as the body is being lowered, we'll have the gun salute. Now, after that, before that, it is an honor for us that we put on our comrades who lose their lives while serving. And therefore, when you have rifles, we reverse them to say you've lost one who is no longer in operation. As rifles are carried by the soldiers. For the officers, normally they carry swords. And all those you can see, the escort, all of them, as you can see, carry swords. Those swords normally face the front. On these 3 days, they'll also be in reverse. They'll be facing backwards, again to show that honor and respect for departed Commander-in-Chief.
Wow. Right. Everything has a meaning and significance in this whole process.
It does.
Nothing is left to chance.
Absolutely.
It does. It does, yes.
Thank you so much for making
Thank you,
time
Trevor.
for us.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you for having me.
Brigadier General Retired Ahmed Mohamed, the military man. Thank you so much for all those insights in terms of what's happening in the military. Yeah,
that's right. Learn something new every day.
The sword part is still amazing.
Yeah.
In reverse.